Okay, hi, I'm Siri Linz. I'm the Assistant Archaeology Collections Manager at the Burke Museum and a 2018 Hart graduate. I wanted to talk a little bit about how I've used the Hart training, specifically in my teaching at the University of Washington. I teach in the museology graduate program. I teach a collections management lab that's focused on archaeological collections care. In 2021, this class was held remotely. It's a very hands-on class, and so I was trying to find new ways of kind of making the students do hands-on activities at home virtually in the best way I could. So it was, this is actually the workroom that I was working in. And one of the things I thought that would be a fun thing to do is kind of have the students walk me through a salvage or triage activity. And so I used some experience that I had this is our old building. So we moved to a new building in 2019. Our old building in the basement had, over the weekend, a pipe burst in the ceiling. You can see on the left-hand corner there. So it was just a water pipe, not any gross water, but that had burst. And I actually happened to be teaching upstairs on a Saturday and got, someone came up and interrupted me and said, there's a water leak in the basement. So I kind of used both this and the Hart training to prepare an activity for the students. So one of the assignments was a salvage activity, and I used the skills that we learned during the Hart. We had the Smithsonian partners come in and do a workshop one of the days, which was incredibly valuable for me to actually do that hands-on piece. And so I tried to set it up very similarly to how it had been set up at the Smithsonian during the Hart training. And I basically, told the students, I had them watch webinars from some of the heritage emergency response networks in this area. And then we read a lot of the resources from the Hart training about preparation and emergency supplies that you'd want to have, kind of how to do a triage sheet tracking in an emergency. So I had them read all of that ahead of time, watch the webinars. I had gathered, books and photographs from people over a couple weeks, a few objects too. And then I started the class saying, and you can see here that so I had a big screen, which was really nice. And then I had another coworker helped me by having a handheld, she had a handheld camera so she could zoom in on some of the areas. But I started class saying, I'm a collections manager at a local museum, and I came in this morning to find that some type of emergency had occurred, and I need your help. And so I basically didn't give them really any kind of guidelines as to what had happened. I wanted them to figure that out. So help me figure out what happened. What do I need to do first? We assigned documentation team who was going to record salvage priorities, basically deciding what was, what we really needed to save, what we had copies of, what was maybe something we could replace. We looked at each item and I had them tell me what they would do. We had sham wows there, so the absorbent towels, and then we had fresh water, so we cleaned some things. We had boxes ready to be packed to be frozen. And then we talked a little bit too about what emergency supplies I might need. I had some, but I didn't have everything I needed. So I had them help me decide what I needed to focus on. And then we also touched on potential hazards. And this was something that came up when we had the actual emergency. It was in a storeroom. So there was a whole bunch of wine from events, and the water level and kind of the pressure had knocked a whole bunch of glass over, and it had broken. And so we were reaching our hands into these water spaces, not really realizing that there was broken glass in there. So we talked a little bit about that, and if it was, clean water versus dirty water, what kind of PPE we would want. So using a lot of those skills from the heart training and some of the, even our like activity day too. And then at the very end, we debriefed. So how do we do, much like we did in the heart training? I think that's, just as important as walking through the disaster is talking about like, what could we do better? What were we missing? What have we not talked about? So we went over a little bit of that too. And I think, and so I was also, the Burke Museum was open. We had limited capacity, but so that was kind of fun. We had whiteboard signs out showing people what we were doing, which I thought, and some people could watch. They couldn't hear what we were saying, but they could certainly see that an activity was going on. So that was kind of fun. And I think that is all I have.